Rosalind was taking her daily stroll along the country road when she heard faint meowing coming from a nearby ditch. Curious, she cautiously approached and peered over the edge, her heart sinking at the sight that greeted her. "Hello, little guy," she said softly as she reached down to try and pet one of the 3 kids before her. They were scared but not aggressive, which was a very good thing. Just as Rosalind wanted to pick one up, something strange happened. One of the kittens began to pant heavily, but Rosalind had no idea why. She knew those kittens had to be taken out of the ditch quickly, so she took off her jacket to wrap them in. Rosalind had already feared someone might have left the kittens behind, but now that she spotted the note, her fears became a reality. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. And as Kin at the time she took the 3 kittens in from the streets, she had 2 other foster kittens already inside her house. After placing the 3 white kittens from the streets in a little makeshift living enclosure fitted with a litter box and some toys, Rosalind turned her attention to the little note. As she uncrumbled the paper, her eyes grew wide in shock. Her heart sank as she reached for her phone and called the police as fast as she could. "I will not stop." It was written on the crumbled piece of paper, making Rosalind believe someone was purposefully dumping kittens at the side of the road. There was a single red droplet of some sort of liquid on the paper, which looked a lot like blood, but Rosalind didn't even want to begin to think about that she needed the help of the police. After telling the dispatcher about the kittens she had found, Rosalind was disappointed to hear the dispatcher's condescending tone. "You need the police for 3 stray kittens," a man said on the other end of the line. Rosalind knew there were more important matters for the police, but since there was a possibility of blood involved, she really did need the police. "Yes, I do," she said in the most confident way possible. As the dispatcher told her a police car was on its way to her, but that it could take a little longer. About an hour after she called, Rosalind began to hear police sirens in the distance. She greeted 2 police officers outside and showed them the kittens in their enclosure. They didn't seem very impressed, so Rosalind showed them the note left by the kitten's side. One of the police officers took the note from Rosalind's hands and looked at it intently. "You found this next to the kittens?" he asked her with furrowed brows. Rosalind nodded, and the 2 police officers looked at each other with a strange look on their faces. "We'll get the red deed tested. You'll hear from us," they said as they exited her house. The only thing was that Rosalind was not a very patient person. She wanted to help the kittens now and not wait for God knows how long. So she put on her coat and began to walk around the same road where she had found the kittens. And after walking around for a while, she suddenly heard something coming out of a bush close to the road, so she investigated. Rosalind was taken aback when she discovered 4 more kittens nestled in the underbrush. As she secured them, her gaze fell upon another crumpled piece of paper. Heart pounding, she unfolded it, revealing a message as cold and menacing as the first. Leaving her number, she begged the mysterious person to contact her. Maybe, just maybe, a conversation could shed light on this all. As Rosalind left her note beside the bush, a mix of fear and anticipation settled in her chest. With the kittens safe at her side and the police informed, all she could do was wait, hope, and care for the innocent lives caught in this all. Back at her cozy home, Rosalind gently placed the newly found kittens with their counterparts, their soft meows filling the room with life. As the cool evening air brushed against her face, the shrill ring of her phone cut through the silence. With a trembling hand, she pressed the green button, bracing herself for what was to come. The voice that greeted her was cold, distorted beyond recognition. "I see you." "Don't even dare to run to the police," it warned, sending a shiver down Rosalind's spine. Gathering every ounce of courage, Rosalind's voice quivered as she asked, "What do you want?" The silence that followed felt like an eternity, the air thick with tension and fear. "No, I won't do that." Rosalind's voice was steady, defying the bizarre request that crackled through the phone. "Why would you even ask for such a thing?" Her refusal to bring a specific breed of kitten to the stranger was met with silence, a pause that felt like a tightening noose, but she wasn't deterred by it. She wasn't going to negotiate with someone who viewed these innocent lives as mere objects for exchange. "You'll regret that," the voice growled, its patience thinning. "I'll keep leaving them, maybe even do more." "I'm not playing games," the voice snapped. "Stop asking questions. Here's an address," he said, rattling off directions Rosalind reluctantly scribbled down. Before she could protest, he added, "Get the police involved and remember, I know where you live." The line went dead, leaving Rosalind staring at the ominous digits, her heart pounding in her chest. Under the veil of night, Rosalind crafted an email to her distant cousin Derek, a seasoned police officer. She poured out the details of her predicament, careful to omit any information that could put them both in jeopardy. Derek's response came at the crack of dawn, a beacon of hope in Rosalind's darkest hour. "It's a good thing you reached out," he wrote, outlining a plan that was as daring as it was dangerous. They agreed on a time and place for Rosalind to act as bait, with Derek and his team ready to close in. As Rosalind drove to the secluded spot, her heart pounded against her chest like a drum. The moment Rosalind stepped out, her phone buzzed with instructions. But she wasn't about to follow them blindly. "Come and get it yourself if you dare," she texted back, her defiance a small beacon of courage in the enveloping darkness. The silence was suddenly pierced by the sound of a breaking branch, a prelude to the nightmare that unfolded. Before she could react, darkness enveloped her. A rough hand covered her eyes while another silenced her attempts to scream. In the dark confined space of the car's back seat, Rosalind's heart skipped beats with every mule of the kitten beside her. The ride came to an abrupt halt. Next thing Rosalind knew, she was being hauled into a garage that smelled like old tires and forgotten Christmas decorations. As she was nudged along, Rosalind caught glimpses of a super-ordinary neighborhood through a tiny gap in her blindfold. She made a mental note of everything she saw, hoping it'd help somehow. Once she was shoved into a closet and the door clicked shut, Rosalind decided to take a small chance. "You know the cops are gonna find me," she said, trying to sound more sure than she felt. Yet he simply ignored her as he guided her somewhere. Once the door snapped shut, Rosalind didn't waste any time. Twisting her wrists, she felt the ropes give way, a testament to her kidnapper's haste more than her strength. With her hands free, the blindfold was the next to go. Peering through the keyhole, she got a glimpse of the garage, her heart pounding with anticipation and fear of what she saw next. Through the tiny aperture, Rosalind watched as the man carefully lifted the specific kitten from the box. Every inch of the kitten was scrutinized, from its tiny ears down to its tail. The next moment took Rosalind by surprise. The man pulled away a large tablecloth, uncovering cages upon cages of kittens. The sight was overwhelming, a sea of eyes in every color staring back at her. It was like he'd hoarded every kitten in the neighborhood, maybe even the town. Kitty among the captives were kittens that Rosalind couldn't recognize, their features exotic and unfamiliar. The sound of the garage door being forced open shattered the tense silence. Rosalind's heart leaped as officers swarmed in, their commands loud and authoritative. The man was quickly subdued and handcuffed, his reign of kitten-napping brought to an abrupt end. "Hey, over here," Rosalind's voice, though hoarse, carried enough urgency to cut through the chaos. An officer quickly unlocked the closet, freeing her. Derek was there, right in the thick of it, and seeing him felt like finding an anchor in a stormy sea. It was more than gratitude, it was a relief, a release of all the fear and tension that had built up inside her. Handcuffed and defeated, the man was led away, and Rosalind, now a key witness, accompanied them to the station. Sitting in the sterile brightness of the police office, she recounted her ordeal, the officers hanging on every word. In a small interrogation room, the man's motives spilled out. He dreamed of creating a new breed of cat, one so unique it would bring him fame and fortune. The man admitted to discarding the kittens that didn't meet his vision, leaving them as unwanted cast-offs on the roadside. Every single kitten was scooped up from that house of horrors and spread out to families ready to give them the love they deserve. Rosalind, of course, kept the ones she'd already bonded with, turning her home into a kitten paradise. The word spread, and soon enough Rosalind was getting all kinds of pats on the back. Hero felt like a heavy title, but if standing up for those little furballs made her one, then she'd wear it with pride. And the best news came when every last one of those sick kittens bounced to want it back, healthier and happier than ever. And one by one, they all found families to call their own. It was like watching a bunch of little success stories walk out the door, each one a testament to the resilience of life and the kindness of strangers. Rosalind couldn't help but smile. This was what hope looked like.